communication and collaboration, communicating within meetings or collaborating on coming up with the most effective way to go about processes, and just building upon critical thinking. In school, being a mathematics major, you have to have some type of critical thinking, but to actually do the critical thinking and have it be put into a process and see results is really effective. And that goes into work experience, so having the hands-on experience as well as the real-world experiences. And then product knowledge, before coming in, being a product management intern, I didn't necessarily know everything that went into products, so like being able to see the processes behind it and everything was really insightful. And then reflections and insights, workplace culture. So being in a professional work setting is something that I've never really experienced, so it's definitely something I'm going to take away and will help me with my future career, as well as the Genesis culture. Like, since day one, I felt so welcomed. Everyone's been so welcoming, and just having this experience of being able to want to come into work every day, wake up, and know that you're going to have a good day with good people surrounding you. And then learning opportunities. Phyllis and Jonathan really pushed me this summer to expand on my learning opportunities and really putting time into my success and my experience as well. And then I think the biggest takeaway for me personally was personal growth, just being more confident. I'm not a big public speaker, but just being more confident, getting more experience with that, and with meetings and things as well. So, yeah. And thank you. I want to thank especially Phyllis and Jonathan, especially Phyllis for putting all of her time into me, and everybody sitting in this room, as well as Genesis as a whole, for this opportunity and all these experiences. So thank you so much. Any questions you guys have for me?
So obviously, going into the product side, is this changing your course correction or anything like that for your future? I mean, what's next?
Yeah, so being an applied mathematics major, it's a very broad major. So going into product management, I obviously had no experience within it, but being a part of it, has really opened my eyes and given me a little bit more, and I think that's definitely something I want to look into pursuing in my future. So definitely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aaron Shank, and I'm excited to jump into a little bit about what I was up to this summer as an intern with Genesis. So briefly, just a quick agenda here. I'm going to start with a little bit about me, my background, where I think I'm headed. Then first half of the summer as a warehouse excellence intern under Tyler Kane, and kind of how an organic pivot happened about halfway through the summer. Oh, pardon me. And then how the organic pivot happened about halfway through the summer, and then kind of the transition into product development under AJ. Then I'll get into some final takeaways and just some overall highlights over my time here this summer. So my name's Aaron. I'm from here in Goshen. Really can't complain about that 3-minute commute. I go to IU. I'm going into my third year at IU studying entrepreneurship and corporate innovation, which is just something I'm just super excited about. It's just such a great environment for me to really sink my teeth into the academic side of business. And so for future plans, nothing's set in stone yet. I'm just hoping to find a career where I can use my passions and talents for creative innovation and open-ended problem solving. So to start here, I am a returning intern, so I interned here back in 2022. I had a really great time. So I was able to kind of build off that momentum I did 2 years ago, and where I was in charge of building out the barcoding system, getting the alphanumeric code set up, and really pushing that across the finish line for implementation. Fast forward to this year, I was asked to go ahead and revise some of the signage we have and make sure that it aligns with what we're doing currently, and also looking at the signage in the lens of the future state as well. So the main task of this was I looked at about 2,700 signs, which all of those are individual signs, which took a lot of my time, but I learned over 10% of those signs were they were unaligned, whether it was missing signage, whether it was signage in the wrong location. It was creating a barrier between, having the system align with the process, which is just so important in order to see the benefits that barcoding can provide. So yeah, the goal of this is just to get us closer to that 98% material accuracy, and really just close the gap to effortless barcode integration, and really just not making it an extra step to think about. So moving on, the second thing I was working on as a warehouse excellence intern under Tyler was kind of setting up the foundation for the Plant 9 barcoding. And so when I started, they were currently at step 0, so there was like no progress towards barcoding. And because Plant 9 is one of the more complex plants that Genesis has, that's kind of why we waited so long to kind of start. We wanted to start with the easier plants and move on towards the more complex ones as we felt ready. And so,
That might be actually better.
oh, is it not plugged in?
No. Didn't realize there was an outlet behind you.
You did a great job.
So yeah, thank you for that. God didn't die on me. But so yeah, the scope of this was to kind of visually document the material flow from what's happening in Plant 9 as far as where the material is moving, what starts at each cell, where is it moving, and just kind of getting an end-to-end picture of what the material process flow looks like. So some of the activities I did for this was I did a physical observation where I put my boots on the ground, walked through the plant, mainly with Phil, and then I even was involved with Daniel for a bit. And then combining that with the schedule tree and backbone, and really understanding where the nuances between what the system says and what the process actually is. And then highlighting where we can kind of drill down into the data to figure out where everything's moving. So this is the starting draft I had after my first initial walkthrough with Phil about like the certain cells here at Plant 9. It seemed relatively simple. I was like, okay, why are they asking me to do this? Like, this is not that complex. But then after about a week of really just going back into the data and asking questions, talking to material handlers, cell operators, and everyone involved with the material flow process, I ended up coming up with this document, which kind of shows the full picture of what's all happening at Plant 9. So this will really allow us to smooth out the wrinkles for the barcoding implementation at Plant 9 before they happen. One of the main errors that we can have is kind of starting before we're ready. So this will really allow us to make sure that we're ready before we start. This will also be able to answer some of the critical planning questions in the early stage to really make sure that we're going at the right pace with asking the right questions. So about halfway through the summer, I was mentioning to my boss Tyler, and I even mentioned this to you, Chris, that I was enjoying what I was doing, but as someone that's studying entrepreneurship and corporate innovation at IU, I was wondering where that connected to Genesis. And so I was interested in kind of learning more about the well-formed division and your role, AJ. And so after just mentioning it to you that I was interested in learning more about it, the next week I had a 30-minute conversation with you and Tyler, and really just allowed an organic opportunity to come about for me to work under AJ, under the WellFit Kit division. So this really was exciting because after this initial conversation, I learned that I would be able to really apply my passions and talents for creative innovation, strategic planning, and really just creating a tangible impact where I could just see what the difference I'm making. So just a little bit about the WellFit Kit division. For those of you who aren't familiar, the main goal of it is to provide durable insulation to protect these Class B vans from the interior out. So it's really thin sheet metal, and then when these are produced from the manufacturer, they're completely bare chassis. And so what WellFit kits do is kind of add a layer of insulation. And so you can see here that we have door liners currently, floor liners, wall and ceiling liners, which really adds a lot of acoustic benefits, thermal benefits, but mainly just creating a professional look inside the van, as well as creating a durable layer in between the sheet metal. But as you can see here, there's a lot that's covered by this WellFit kit product family, but you can see these wheel wells currently are not, we didn't currently offer that with our current product offering. And so that's what the starting point was for this project. AJ told me that we had the designs ready, we had the production capacity, we just needed to get these across the finish line and start collecting revenue from these. And so now that I knew where we were starting and where the end goal was, a lot of my project just relied in that gap and kind of figuring out what needed to be done, how to do it, and taking action to get it done. So some of the main activities I was involved with was I started out by just doing a really in-depth market analysis. When I started, I wasn't very familiar with wheel aligners. I'm not sure if any of you really are, but I was able to kind of really just understand the customer perspective really intimately and learn what's offered in the market. There's really only one major competitor out there, which is Legend, based out of Canada. And I was able to look at all the reviews. I just went really in depth and trying to just like wrap my head around every part of the customer process and understanding what they want in these wheel aligners, what are they frustrated with, and what can we as Genesis do to solve these problems they're currently experiencing. So after I kind of wrapped my head around what the current options were in the market, then the next step was to build the roadmap and timeline. And so there was a lot of gray area in this. So you weren't really telling me exactly how to do everything, which is, I love that. So I was able to build a Gantt chart, which really helped define the activities that we needed to do, the timeline that we expected for them, and we were able to kind of track the progress as we went and to see if we were ahead of schedule, behind schedule, and really just make sure we were taking action when we needed to take action. And additionally, collaborating with key stakeholders. So as a product development intern, I was in between a lot of different groups, namely marketing, your product development leadership, AJ, manufacturing, product engineering with Sam. I was in between a lot of different groups and needed to understand broadly what went into this, but also in depth for each role and kind of go to each person and say, listen, like, you're really good at this. How can you apply yourself to this project and kind of create the task for them and make it as simple as they can to make their impact. And additionally, all this kind of came together for a sales sheet, which really allows us to put this in front of potential customers with all of the information that they want, application use cases that they can use these for, as well as just showing them what the product looks like and what we currently offer. So I'll just get into kind of a little spotlight here. So the main thing I was involved with that I really enjoyed over the summer was kind of building up a acoustic testing procedure from scratch. So we knew that these reduce the noise, but we wanted to know how much and have data to back up the claim. And so I was able to kind of build this from scratch, and with the help of Sam Engelbert, kind of take the WellFit van out and put these wheel aligner styles in and take the microphone and really just test these and see what the data showed. And so you can see here, this is Counter at 17 right across the state line. We chose this because this is a really smooth road, and then this road's a little bit older, and you can kind of notice a little bit more bumps. So we took about 16 10-second tests with this really nice microphone that gave us a readout like this, where this is like a sample of a 10-second readout from the microphone, where this shows the decibel level on the y-axis, and then on the x-axis, the relative frequencies for those. And so like the lower frequencies is like that really low sound, the hum, whereas the higher frequencies is kind of where those like rock pings, those higher, more obnoxious noises are. And so after collecting the data and really bringing it all together, all this happened in one afternoon because we were kind of on a time crunch. But I was able to pull all this data together and just see that, okay, here's the data, here's what the data says, but what does this mean? So this top line here is the control, and then the ones below it are some wheel aligner styles that we offer. And we were able to notice, okay, after crunching the numbers, we were able to see that we were able to reduce the sound in the interior from the source by 1.4 decibels or 23%, which it's not earth shattering. It's not gonna dramatically change the acoustic experience inside this van. But if we're gonna say that it decreases the noise, we need to have data to back that up. And so I was proud to at least have some findings from this that we were able to use, despite it looking how it did. So some of the impact here, main impact is kind of creating these sales sheets that align with the current WellFit and RV division. So there's a lot of potential customers, but how can we apply this product and kind of show it to them in a way that they really get to see it in a way that's beneficial for them? And then we also wanted to develop these to solve these key issues within the market. The main competitor has just a plastic shell, and they only offer it in one style, with a driver and passenger side and have a really thick embossed logo on it. And we wanted to solve all those issues. And so we were able to create a seamless wheel well liner with multiple different applications and use cases that we were able to really just push out to a lot of different applications. And soon enough, we're going to be ready for this product launch after we finish the sales sheets and get ready for this lunch and learn. We have all of the data and content for these sales sheets. We just need to kind of tell the story with these sales sheets and show it in a way that's beneficial. What's really exciting about this is we are extremely well positioned to scale these now. So there's 3 different main customer strategies that we can go after. So there's the OEM, which is way down the line, which is hopefully we can become an official accessory for these Rams, for these Sprinters, and for these transit vehicles. And also there's 650,000 B-Vans produced annually, and that number grows by about 25,000 each year. And so with each of them having 2 wheel wells, like that's a lot of potential. And with only one competitor, that's a lot of room to scale. And so, as well as the RV division in the pipeline, there's just a lot that's exciting about this product and where we're headed. And so here's the sales sheets that Sydney was able to throw together as soon as last afternoon we had this meeting. She was able to work her tail off to get these drafted for this presentation. So huge props to Sydney for that. But this is kind of the draft that we have currently. We're trying to work on how we can tell the story with these sales sheets for these potential customers. And then some final takeaways here. As I was working in this scope, I was trying to understand where this fits in with the company as a whole. And so within this wheel well liner scope, I was able to understand that this fits in within the WellFit division, which is a part of a larger Well-Formed, which fits into the massive corporate or company of Genesis. And so in perspective, the wheel well liner scope is not massive, but if you're able to look at it as it is, there's so much activity happening within this scope that almost acts as a microcosm for business as a whole. And so there's so much business activity in here that can scale to solutions of almost any size and any application. So here's kind of the main activities that I was involved with, and I'll kind of drill down into some of the main takeaways from this. So I really learned how I can effectively coordinate, communicate, and collaborate to align these teams that are isolated towards one single deliverable. I was also able to think strategically to build these comprehensive plans and procedures. You know, there's a lot of gray area. There was a lot of area where I just kind of had to figure things out. And that was just really great for me to be able to just like do it from start to finish and see it as it went. And also identifying actionable tasks and following through with each opportunity. Without identifying what tasks need to be done, it's so much harder to get them done. It's so much easier to spin your wheels through this. And so I was also able to understand what really influences action and how can we just create more action and do less spinning our wheels. And just figuring out what really moves the needle and then attack that. So some main highlights, project leadership. I feel like I had an amazing opportunity to really sink my teeth into this scope. And AJ, you didn't really spell out much of the details of how to get this done, which I absolutely love. That's where I thrive. It's just kind of figuring things out and applying myself towards that and just using my initiative to get things done. Also connecting the dots. So all of us here have the unique opportunity to take what we learn in business and apply it to school. Whereas most people usually are able to learn in school and then apply it to business, but we're able to kind of go back to our classes and look at things from a different angle and then reapply that back to the business environment. Also the intern class. Huge thanks to the HR team. Marissa, I know Rachel's not here, but just absolutely extremely impressed with all the work that you guys have done to bring us together, and I think all of us have benefited from a lot of the spontaneous collaboration that comes about from this. I know Daniel, when I was working on my process map for Plant 9, you were more than happy to help out and just show me what you saw from your side, and that was huge for me, and it was just great to connect with you like that. Also G Week, just learning, planning, and connecting as a team, just seeing how all parts of the puzzle come together, and strategizing and figuring out where the company's headed and how we're gonna get there. Honorable mention, DJing at Club Wenger. But in all seriousness, thank you so much for your role, not just your time today, but for all of the influence you put into this company, creating it what it is today, and really just standing behind the intern class as we're able to spread our wings and make an impact here. Thank you. Now I'll open the floor to any questions.
Is
you look at entrepreneurship as being important to you, as you go through that exercise with AJ and working with Well Liners, was it, you know, more than you expected, about what you expected, from what you thought about walking into it?
Yeah, it was a really unique experience. And so what's really interesting about my major is it's kind of two-sided. It's entrepreneurship and it's corporate innovation, which there's kind of both sides of it, where a lot of what I was doing this summer was a lot more on the corporate innovation side, kind of working under a division. But it was also a lot of entrepreneurship as well, where kind of seeing everything that goes into this and seeing how it all connects, and yeah, realizing that there's a lot more that goes into this than what you initially think. And what's really important is just like figuring out what needs to happen and how to get there.
So coming back and seeing the barcoding work, was it where you thought it would be 2 years later, or do you feel like we still have some opportunities for improvement?
It's a really good question.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like what you said. There's just a lot. There's just a lot that goes into barcoding. Barcoding is a huge initiative, and we want to make sure that we're taking the right steps when we're taking these steps. Yeah, I think that it's really important to make sure that we're going slowly rather than fastly and with error. So I think, yeah, when I was gone for these 2 years, I kind of expected that we'd be farther along. But also, I think I'm really proud of the team for doing what they are in the way that they are. But yeah, there's just also just so much that goes into this. I mean, a lot of coordination, a lot of planning, a lot of execution, and also like fixing and kind of holding people's hands as they get adjusted to this process and this transition.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Yeah, thank you.
That's okay. I mean, really, when you get a lot of practice, I mean, like, really impressed with the presentations. Yeah, really, I mean, also the work that you've done. I mean, we're definitely in a better place because of the work that you've done this summer. And like you, Bobby said, like it was impactful, it does make a difference, and a lot of great insights, a lot of great contributions that will last past your, time. So, yeah, and I think everyone really did really well in prepping and preparing. So I think all the work that you put into it. So well done.
Yeah.
And again, and all those pictures that had me in it, maybe I need to collect some of those. But, so send me those pictures. Those are great.
Guys, I feel like we're really blessed with great interclasses every year. This is definitely